الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويا آدم اسكن أنت وزوجك الجنة فكلا من حيث شئتما ولا تقربا هذه الشجرة فتكونا من الظالمين فوسوس لهما الشيطان ليبدي لهما ما وري عنهما من سوآتهما وقال ما نهاكما ربكما عن هذه الشجرة إلا أن تكونا ملكين أو تكونا من الخالدين وقاسمهما إني لكما لمن الناصحين فدلاهما بغرور فلما ذاقا الشجرة بدت لهما سوآتهما وطفقا يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة وناداهما ربهما ألم أنهكما عن تلكما الشجرة وأقل لكما إن الشيطان لكما عدو مبين قالا ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين قال اهبطوا بعضكم لبعض عدو ولكم في الأرض مستقر ومتاع إلى حين قال فيها تحيون وفيها تموتون ومنها تخرجون صدق الله العظيم.
Adam, O Adam, uskun anta wa zawjuka, reside you together with your wife, al-jannata, in the paradise, fakula min haythu shi'tuma, and eat wherever you like from. Wala taqraba hadhihi shajara, and don't even go near this tree. فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ, or you shall become from the transgressors. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ, so Satan tempted them, persuaded them, لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا, so that he might discover, expose, unveil, uncover their private parts, their shameful organs which were covered from them. Waqala, and he said, means Satan said, Ma nahakuma rabbukuma an hadhihi shajara, your Lord forbade you going near this tree, lest you should become the angels or you become the permanent resident of the paradise and immortal as well. وَقَاسَمَهُمَا, and he swore an oath in front of them and said, Inni lakuma laminan nasihin, I am very, very sympathetic to you, and I am really a well-wisher of yours. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. So he persuaded them to come down with the deception. Means where they were residing in the paradise, he persuaded them to come down and have the grain of the tree. فَلَمَّا ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةَ. So when they tasted the fruit of the tree, بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتُهُمَا. Their private parts, their genitals, their shameful organs appeared to them. وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا. And they began to patch the leaves of paradise on their body, on their bodies. وَنَادَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا. And their Lord called out to them, أَلَمْ أَنْهَكُمَا عَنْ تِلْكُمَا الشَّجَرَةِ. Didn't I forbid you going near this tree? وَأَقُلْ لَكُمَا. And didn't I say to you that إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمَا عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Verily the Satan is an avowed, a proclaimed, a self-evident of enemy of yours. قَالَ. They said, رَبَّنَا, O our Lord, ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. We wronged ourselves. وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا. And if you don't forgive us, وَتَرْحَمْنَا, and have mercy upon us, لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. We would surely become the losers. قَالَ اهْبِطُوا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ. Allah Rabbul Izzat said, go down, and some of you are enemy of some of others. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُسْتَقَرٌّ. And there's an abode, a permanent residential place for you. وَمَتَاعٌ إِلَى حِينٍ. And there is a benefit for you up to a prescribed period, a prescribed term. قَالَ فِيهَا تَحْيَوْنَ. Allah Rabbul Izzat said, فِيهَا تَحْيَوْنَ. You will live there. وَفِيهَا تَمُوتُونَ. And you die there. وَمِنْهَا تُخْرَجُونَ. And you would be resurrected from that very place. You would be revived, you would be resurrected from that very place. So this is the verbal translation of the passage I recited before you. Here Quran says, when the Satan was expelled from the paradise, Allah Rabbul Izzat addressed Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, and he allowed him to live in the paradise together with his wife, and there was no restriction imposed upon their right of moving here and there. They were fully allowed to enjoy all of the fruits and to have a walk in every place of the paradise. وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ. And Allah Rabbul Izzat forbade them going near that tree, or they would become the transgressors. The first restriction was imposed by Allah Rabbul Izzat to the couple of Adam. So when they began to live there, so it was very noble life, because there was no restriction of living, moving, eating, drinking. Everything was unlimited for them. But there is a policy of Allah Rabbul Izzat. When Allah Rabbul Izzat talked to the angels in connection with the creation of the human being, Allah said, إِذْ قَالَ is qala rabbuka lil malaikati inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Means basically the plan, the scheme about the creation of the human being was just to populate the earth, not the paradise. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُورِيَ عَنْهُمَا. So Satan tried his best to tempt them to eat that very grain which was prohibited by Allah Rabbul Izzat. So this is the first step of Satan, to persuade the human being for commission of crime, for commission of sin. And that was an attempt to persuade them to eat the grain of wheat. وَقَالَ مَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. And he tried his best to cause suspicion in their heart about the policy of Allah Rabbul Izzat. He tried to assure them that they were prohibited to go near the tree just because they were more likely to become the angels, and it was possible for them to be immortal and to live there permanently without any restriction or without any limitation. So this is the first step taken by the Satan. So here we come to the conclusion that it is a speciality of Satan that he tries to cause the suspicion about the policy of Allah. If a person or community or a scholar or any person in this world tries to create the suspicion about the legal order of Allah Rabbul Izzat, about the constitution of Allah Rabbul Izzat, about the contents of the Quran or the prophetic traditions, he would be included in the community of Satan, because this is speciality of Satan to create the suspicion about the policy of Allah Rabbul Izzat. And this was the misinterpretation by a scholar, because he was a scholar of the sky, he was teacher of the angels, and this was misinterpretation of the policy of Allah Rabbul Izzat. So misinterpretation of any celestial book, any astral order, any divine order is a speciality of the Satan. Being a Muslim, everybody's duty is to follow the interpretation attempted by Muhammad Mustafa himself or his companion, just like Siddiq Akbar, Farooq Azam, Usman Ghani, Haidar Karrar, Imam Hassan. So any interpretation not done by the righteous people should not be followed. Quran says, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاسِحِينَ. So this is the methodology of misleading, that when one tries to deviate the Muslims, he tries to assure them that he is their well-wisher, and he tries to assure them that he is very sympathetic to them. Quran says, when Satan tries to mislead them and to deviate them, he swore an oath in front of Adam and Eve. So they were not ready to believe him, but when he attempted the oath in front of them by the name of Allah Rabbul Izzat, so it was totally unprecedented for them that one can tell a lie by the name of Allah Rabbul Izzat. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. So he persuaded them to come down with a deception. Here Quran says it was not Eve to attempt or to tempt or persuade Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, though it is very famous, it is very, very commonly known, and it is mostly said that a woman was first person to take the initiative of the persuading of a man to commit a sin, but Quranic text does not approve it. Quran says, فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. It was not attempted by Eve, but both of them was deceived simultaneously. There was simultaneousness between wife and husband. In both of them were jointly deceived. So this attribution towards Eve cannot be approved by the Holy Quran. Quran says it was not Eve to persuade Adam alayhi to eat the grain of the wheat, but both of them were persuaded at the same times. There was a simultaneity between husband and wife. فَلَمَّا ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةَ. So when they tasted the fruit of the tree, badat lahuma sawatuhuma. Here it is to be considered that this attribution towards a woman is not a justice. One should believe that there are so many weaknesses in the woman, but there are certain qualities with the woman as well. Just like the first Muslim is a woman, Sayyida Khadija al-Kubra, may God be pleased with him, was the first person to embrace Islam. She recognized Muhammad Mustafa for the first time, and she is believed to be the first Muslim in the Islamic history. And the first person to get the dignity of martyrdom was also a woman. Sumayya, the mother of Ammar ibn Yasir, was a woman, and she was martyred for the first time. The first martyr, first shaheed, was Sumayya. So this is also a dignity going towards a woman. And the person who established the superpower of Islam was Faruq-e-Azam, and then that was a conquest of a woman. His sister was to change him, to convert him into Islam. He was coming to murder, to assassinate Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. May grace and peace of Allah be upon him. But he happened to meet during the way a person who told him that his sister was also a Muslim. So he went there, he checked the situation, she found her to be a Muslim, and when there was a controversy between brother and sister, she told him that she had embraced Islam. But in the meantime, Faruq-e-Azam radiallahu anhu gave a punch to her, but she also stood fast. She said, if you are not ready to bow down being an infidel, so it is not appropriate on my part to bow down before you being a Muslim. So as you can fight for your infidelity, I can fight for Islam. So consequently, Faruq-e-Azam radiallahu anhu had to embrace Islam. So this good memory and good precedent was established by a woman. So Quran says it was not Eve to tempt or to persuade Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, but both of them were persuaded by the Satan with the deception, and according to his persuasion, they tasted the fruit of the prohibited tree. Badat lahuma sawatuhuma. Here Quran says their dresses were withdrawn. They were deprived of the dresses because of commission of a sin. So here we come to the conclusion that obscenity and nudity and nakedness is a punishment by Allah Rabbul Izzat. When a person commits a sin, he is undressed. His body is uncovered. His body is unveiled. But when a person thinks that obscenity and nakedness and nudity is a quality, so this is a misunderstanding by the human being, because this is a punishment of Allah Rabbul Izzat. So we should check ourselves, our daily life, that whether we are being punished by Allah Rabbul Izzat by the nudity, by the obscenity, or this is a quality. This is not a quality, because according to the Quranic record, this is a punishment imposed by Allah Rabbul Izzat on the persons who committed a sin. Badat lahuma sawatuhuma. They were properly dressed. They were very beautiful to look at. And their dresses were very nice, according to the criterion of paradise. But when they committed the sin, they were deprived of the beautiful dresses and they had to face the nudity. So it is quite obvious and self-evident that nudity and obscenity is a punishment of Allah. It is not a quality. So the present society believes the nudity and obscenity to be a quality, which is a complete misunderstanding and fault. وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ. And they began to cover their bodies with the leaves of the paradise. It means that the human nature is to cover the private part, to cover the body, and to dress himself. If a person is uncovering himself in these days, it means that it is totally unnatural, which cannot be approved by any celestial book, any astral book. Quran says, وَنَادَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا أَلَمْ أَنْهَكُمَا أَنْ تِلْكُمَا الشَّجَرَةِ. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Amma Nawaluhu talked to them, called out to them, Alam anhakuma antilkuma shajara. Didn't I forbid you going near this tree? Means when a person violates the law, he is deprived of the facilities. Means all of the facilities provided with to you were withdrawn because you have violated the law. We should check our life and our daily activities. If we are deprived of everything on every day, we should come to the conclusion that this is the punishment of a violation of the law. This is the punishment of breaking the law. If we want to restore our bounties, our facilities, and our blessings, we should resume our life under the instructions and obedience of Allah Rabbul Izzat. Quran says, whenever and wherever the people misused the bounties of Allah, they were deprived of the bounties. As Quran says, فَلَمَّا نَسُوا مَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ. So when they forgot whatever they were advised with, so فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَبْوَابَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We gave the bounties with abundance, but faiza, when they were busy, when they were engrossed, when they were engaged in the bounties, so فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بَغْتَةً فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْلِسُونَ. So when they forgot whatever they were advised with, so we withdrew all of the bounties we had bestowed upon them. Quran says, فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْلِسُونَ. So all of a sudden they were disappointed. Means the deprivation is always attempted at the time of violation. If we want the safety of our bounties, our facilities, we should be obedient to the order of Allah Rabbul Izzat. Quran says, وَنَادَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا. Their Lord called out to them, O Adam, O Eve, didn't I forbid you going near this tree? وَأَقُلْ لَكُمَا. And didn't I tell you that the Satan is your avowed, your proclaimed, your open and self-evident enemy? So you obeyed your enemy and you forgot your Lord. Qala, they said, Rabbana, O our Lord, Zalamna anfusana. Here a new point can be concluded, can be inferred from this statement. This is the difference between the human being and Satan. Satan slept for the first time when he didn't bow down in front of Adam according to the commands of Allah Rabbul Izzat. His duty was to bow down in front of Adam. But when he slipped, when he committed the mistake, he insisted upon that one. He was not ready to bow down before Allah or to show the penitence for over his crime, over his sin, but he continued to violate the law. So this is the difference. Once upon a time, Hazrat Ali Murtaza, Sher-e Khuda, may Allah be pleased with him, was asked about the difference between man and Satan. He said that both of them are creatures of Allah, therefore they can be equalized in this respect. Human being is also creature and Satan is also creature, therefore they can be equalized as a creature. And human being also worship Allah Rabbul Izzat and Satan also worship Allah Rabbul Izzat. The times which are contemptible for the liturgical activities, for the devotions, they are prohibited because at those time Satan bows down before Allah Rabbul Izzat. For instance, in the midday, it is not lawful for a person to prostrate before Allah, because this is the time for the prostration of Satan. At the time of sunset and at this time of sunrise, these times are also prohibited for any devotional activity, because Satan bows down or prostrate before Allah Rabbul Izzat. These are the time for the devotions of Satan. So human beings also worship Allah Rabbul Izzat and Satan also worship Allah Rabbul Izzat. And human being also makes a mistake and commits a sin, and Satan also makes a mistake or commits a sin. But the difference lies only in this point. When a human being forgets a point and he slips away and he commits a sin, he confesses his crime, he confesses his mistake, his fault. As Adam and Eve were reported to have said, Rabbana, O our Lord. They confessed. Zalamna anfusana. We wronged ourselves. We were transgressors. We transgressed ourselves. They confessed their crime, they confessed their commission of sin. So human being also commits a sin and Satan also commits a sin. But if he bows down and he shows his penitence in front of Allah over his sin, he is a human being. And if he stands fast in front of Allah in spite of commission of crime or commission of sin, so he is a Satan. So this is the difference between man and Satan. Satan commits the sin and doesn't confess, but human being confesses. And Satan never repents over the sin, but human being repents over the sin. He never shows the penitence, and human being always show the penitence. This is the difference. Now we should check ourselves, our attitude, our behavior, whether we are following the Satan or human being. Humanity lies on the penitence over the sin in front of Allah. If a person commits a sin and shows the penitence in front of Allah, he is a human being. Otherwise, he would be included in the Satanic society. Quran says, وَإِلَّمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا. And if you don't forgive us and have mercy upon us, we would be transgressor, we would be loser, means it would be a great loss on our part. So this is the nature of human being. When he commits a sin or he becomes sinful, he always tries to bow down in front of Allah. Hazrat Haider Karar was reported to have said, Nabi Kareem Alayhi Salam told me that when a person dies away, the funeral prayer should be offered upon that dead body, because lest he should be changed on account of his sins. If one's daughter grows up and attains the age of majority, should be married within no time, because she may commit any type of crime or any type of sin, so it would be entered in the personal sheet of the father as well. And if one is under debts, he should pay the debts, because this is from the human rights which are not pardonable by Allah Rabbul Izzat. He will have to pay the debts, otherwise he would be penalized on the day of judgment. The human rights cannot be pardoned with the penitence or with the repentance or with regretting. One has to pay back the human rights. Therefore one should be quick in payment of the human rights. And if a person commits a sin, he should show the penitence immediately, because the life cannot be relied upon. Human being is mortal. He cannot estimate about his life, and death has no calendar. No dates are declared about the death. Therefore one should be very quick to offer the penitence in front of Allah. So this is the speciality of a human being. قَالَ اهْبِطُوا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عُدُوٌّ. Allah Rabbul Izzat said, you must go down. Down means from the paradise or from the sky. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُسْتَقَرٌّ وَمَتَاعٌ إِلَى حِينٍ. And you will stay there, you will reside there in the earth, and you will enjoy the life up to a prescribed term. Here the Muslim commentators comment on the Holy Quran. They say that when Adam ﷺ was sent down on the ground, he was taught how to cultivate the land. First of all, the skill of blacksmith was taught to him to mold the iron, and then he was taught how to cultivate the land, and how to harvest, and how to thresh, thresh the crops, and then how to grind the grains, and how to dough, and how to bake the food. So after the completion of education, they began to live in the earth with a normal life. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. The education was provided with to Adam ﷺ in the first step, before the prostration of angel before him. And according to the narrative of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was taught 4,000 languages, and all of the languages which are going to be created in the world were already taught to Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Check the range of knowledge of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. قال فيها تحيون وفيها تموتون. Allah Rabbul Izzat said, so you will live there and you will die there. Means your lives, your death, your resurrection would be from the same place. Means the earth is a place where you would reside, but you must bear in mind that your enemy will be always after you. And if you like to avoid the meeting of Satan, you will have to come around the good people. Just like Farooq Azam radiallahu anhu was reported by Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salam himself. Sayyida Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha reported Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salam to have been sitting in the house. She said, Kunna fi baytina, we were in our house when there was a noise outside. Samina lagatan wa sawta sibyanin. we heard a common noise, and the noise made by the boys. So فقام Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up just to know whether it was some quarrel outside. So فإذا حبشية تزفن. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam all of a sudden saw a black-skinned Ethiopian girl dancing in the street. وَالصِّبْيَانُ حَوْلَهَا. And the boys were around her. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam called me, Ta'ali, Ya Aisha, Ta'ali, Fanzuri. Oh Aisha, come to me and enjoy the scene. Sayyida Aisha radiallahu anha says that I went there. Wa wadatul lahyayya ala mankabi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I went there and I placed my jaws on the shoulder of Muhammad Mustafa alaihi salatu wasalam, and I began to look through the hole between shoulder and head. So Nabi Karim alaihi salatu wasalam asked me, Amashabete? Amashabete means, didn't you quench your thirst for the scene? Didn't you satisfy your appetite of the scene? Means, are you happy with the scene? Did you complete your lust for the scene? So Sayyida said, Kuntu aqulu la la. I began to say, no, not at all. Le anzura manzilati indahu, just to check my status in front of Muhammad Mustafa alaihi wasallam. Means I wanted to test my love to Muhammad Mustafa alaihi wasallam, whether he was attaching some importance to me or not. In the meanwhile, Tala Umar. All of a sudden, Hazrat Farooq Azam appeared there. So when he appeared there, so Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Inni ara shayateen al-jinne wal inse qad farru. I am looking at the satans of family of the satans of the family of the jinn and the family of humanity, mankind. They have gone away. Min Umar, on account of Umar. It means that if you want the safety from the Satan, you will have to come in the refuge of good persons. Farooq Azam was a person who was in position to terrify the Satan. Satan was not in position to come around Farooq Azam. So ma kana yajuzu an yakuna mu'jizatan lil nabiy yumkinu an yakuna kiramatan lil waliy. So Imam Abdul Shurani rahmatullah says that whatever is possible for the Prophet to have as a miracle, it is possible for a wali, for a saint, for a pious person to have it as a miracle. Means the miracles can be inherited by the pious persons in the shape of kirama. So Hazrat Farooq Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is in the category of awliya Allah. Companions of the Holy Prophet are first grade awliya Allah in Ummah. So their properties can be inherited by the following pious persons. Means if you want to be safe from the Satan, from his influence, you will have to come in the refuge of awliya Allah, Ahlullah. And there is another tradition by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that Nabi Karim alayhi salatu wasalam was reported to have said, O Umar, ma laqiyaka shaytanu salikan fajjan illa salaka fajjan ghayra fajjik, O kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam. O Umar, it is not possible for the Satan to walk on that very way as you are walking on. He will have to change the way. Means the Satan cannot pass through the way utilized by Farooq Azam radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Farooq Azam radiallahu was strong enough to terrify Satan. If you want to be saved, the safety from the Satan, you will have to come in the refuge of awliya Ahlullah. And in the same way, Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam was reported to have said, Ma minkum min ahadin illa wukkila bihi qareenun min al-malaikati wa qareenuhu min al-jinn. No one of you of yours is there whose qareen was not appointed with him. Means everybody created in this world was created along with a jinn and along with an angel. His angel always advises him to follow the virtue, and the Satan always advises him to follow the sin. But the companions present in the court of Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam, they said, O my holy Prophet, whether a jinn, a Satan was created with you as well? Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam said, yeah, he was created with me as well. Means everybody has got two companions, one from the Satans and the other from the angels. The companions from the community of angels, he advises to follow the virtue, and the companions from the jinn, from the Satan, always persuades to the evil, to the bad. So Nabi Kareem was asked whether such a companion was also created with him as well. Nabi Kareem said, yes, he was created with me. And Nabi Kareem told them that Satan is not in position to persuade me to any evil, because وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ أَعَانَنِي إِلَيْهِ فَأَسْلَمَ. Allah Rabbul Izzat supported me in that connection, and my Satan embraced Islam on my hand. Now he is a Muslim. He never persuades me to any evil. Look, this is the speciality of the Prophet. Everybody is misled by the Satan, but companion of the Prophet and Prophet himself cannot be misled by the Satan, because when respite was asked by Satan, it was not just for the gaining of the time, but he said, فَبِإِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. O my Lord, I swear by your power that I shall mislead them, every body of them. Allah said, yeah, you can do whatever you like, but I shall tell you, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. But as far as my special servants are concerned, you are not in position to mislead them. But there are certain persons who can terrify you. If you pass through their ways, you will be burnt. You are not in position to save yourself, but your own safety is also being endangered. You cannot infringe the rights of those people. Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. So my special persons cannot be misled by you. Then Satan surrendered in front of Allah Rabbul Izzat. Oh my Lord, I confess, I acknowledge that فَبِإِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Oh my Lord, I shall try my best to mislead them, but I believe that your special persons, your special servants would not be misled by me. My powers would fail, and your special person would succeed. In the same way, when Abraham alayhi salatu wasalam was going to sacrifice his son, Hazrat Ismail, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him, along with my own Prophet. So Satan disguised himself in a form of very beautiful person, very pious person, and met Sayyida Hajra radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and whispered with her. He told her that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was going to kill, to slaughter, to sacrifice his son. She said, it is not possible for a father to slaughter his son. It is totally wrong. It is a conspiracy being constituted against father and son. I can't believe, because Abraham alayhi salatu wasalam is a prophet of Allah. He is a holy prophet, and he cannot tyrannize. He cannot be cruel. He cannot persecute any person, not speaking of his son. He cannot persecute anyone. So therefore I am not ready to believe your conspiracy. You look to be Satan. He said, oh, so this is a woman, but she recognized me. He disappeared from the air, came back. He said, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam believes that such an order was sent down by Allah Rabbul Izzat. He believes this order to be revelation of Allah. Sayyidah Hajra said, if Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam believes it to be the revelation of Allah, so the Prophet is never mistaken. He never misunderstands. His misunderstanding is not possible. Even in the dream, if a prophet dreams of anything in the dream, that dream is also revelation of Allah. So you again look to be he said that, then A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I despise you. I dishonor you. I disgrace you. Go away. Get out from here. Then he tried to approach Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. He went there. He said, do you know where are you going? He said, I am going with my father. He told him that his father was going to sacrifice him. He was going to slaughter him. He said, it is not possible for a father to slaughter his son. Satan said, it was misunderstood by Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He thinks that it was revealed by Allah Rabbul Izzat about his sacrifice of Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, if it was revealed by Allah Rabbul Izzat, it is a revelation of Allah Rabbul Izzat, then I will have to bow down in front of that revelation, because I am son of a prophet. So then Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he tried to meet. When they were in Mina, they began to throw the pebbles on Satan. They began to throw the stones on at Satan. So this is Sunnah, which is attempted every year by the total pilgrims. They went there. When they go there, they throw the stones at Satan according to their Sunnah. So this is the point, that all of the prophets, all of the pious persons, all of the sincere Muslims are safe from Satan according to his own statement, because he says that فَبِإِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. O Allah Rabbul Izzat, I shall try my best to mislead them, but the sincere persons would not be misled by me. So this is the proper way to save oneself from the influence of Satan. Quran says, فِيَّا تَخْيَوْنَا وَفِيَّا تَمُوتُونَ وَمِنْهَا تَخْرُجُونَ. You will reside there, you will live there, you will die there, and you will be resurrected from the earth. So therefore you will have to face all of the conspiracies constituted by Satan, and if you like to save yourself from his conspiracies, you will have to come in the refuge of pious people, in the refuge of saints, in the refuge of prophet. This is the end of my lecture of today on this very topic.